Hey everyone, I'm currently on my way to Indianapolis to visit the Jim Irsay collection to see and document Kurt Cobain's actual Fender Competition Mustang. It's arguably one of the most iconic guitars in rock and is currently the most expensive electric guitar ever sold. So we're gonna go see it up close, see all the damage to it, see its current condition. We're gonna go see Kurt's guitar. So let's go.
There are famous guitars and there are iconic guitars. Above all of those is a small league of guitars that represent much more than just the hands that touched it and the music those hands played. They represent cultural shifts, seminal impacts in music history in which nothing was the same afterwards. A small and elite tier of instruments that define generations and entire movements. Among these is Kurt Cobain's 1969 Fender Competition Mustang, a guitar that was used on both Nevermind and In Utero, but will forever be enshrined in history as the Smells Like Teen Spirit guitar, due to its prominent use in that song's groundbreaking music video. The world quickly became obsessed and could not stop watching the high school pep rally from hell that had fire, anarchy cheerleaders, moshing teenagers, and a fierce and commanding sound that the mainstream was not ready for. That video propelled Nirvana to mega stardom. Overnight, Nirvana went from being unknown to being the biggest band in the world, becoming the poster boys of the grunge movement. Out was tight spandex, ripping guitar solos, and misogynistic overtones of hair metal that had ruled the 80s. And in was flannel, power chords, and screaming lyrics about the pain and frustration of the misunderstood youth. People started changing the way they dressed, listened to music, lived their lives, and Smells Like Teen Spirit became an anthem and rallying cry for the disenfranchised youth. Kurt Cobain was then crowned the voice of his generation against his will. So many parts of that music video are iconic and forever embedded in rock history, including the green sweater Kurt wore. An NFT of it sold for $10,000 in 2022. The centerpiece of the video, though, is Kurt's Competition Mustang. With its brilliant blue finish, racing stripe, and matching headstock, one could easily argue that it is one of the most stunning and visually captivating guitars. Along with millions of other people, the first Nirvana song I ever heard was Smells Like Teen Spirit. Oddly, my first exposure to it was hearing a cover of it on a game show when I was 13. I googled the song name, clicked the music video, and haven't been the same since. I had never before heard a song so captivating and so powerful. I had favorite songs and bands before this, but no piece of music had ever made me feel the way that Teen Spirit did. Simply listening to it wasn't enough. It made me want to learn guitar so I could experience this song in a different way. When I walked into my first guitar lesson with my Squier Stratocaster and my Nevermind CD, told my guitar teacher that I wanted to learn the first song on this album. Also, along with millions of people, I fell in love with the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video guitar. Kurt purchased his beloved Mustang at Voltage Guitars in Los Angeles, presumably when the band was in town to record Nevermind in May of 1991. It was completely stock on the album, in the Teen Spirit video, and for the shows that it was used at in late 1991. On October 19, 1991, at Trees in Dallas, Texas, Kurt got upset at his monitor mix and smashed this guitar hard on the monitor board, to the point where it appears that the neck snapped off. At some point after this eventful show, Chris had the neck repaired and refretted for Kurt. It went through some modifications throughout 1992. Kurt's guitar tech, Ernie Bailey, changed the bridge pickup to Seymour Duncan hot rails, removed the duct tape and washers so he could install Schaller strap locks, and installed a Stuart McDonald Godot 2-Nomatic bridge. This is this mighty guitar's final form, the way it was used on In Utero and the way it rests present day. Kurt supposedly wanted to use the Compstang in the heart-shaped box music video, but story goes that he couldn't find it in time and instead used a white High Flyer Phase 4. He would later find his Mustang in its case under his bed. I think it says a lot that this is the guitar he chose to use in the lead music video for Nirvana's major label debut, and that he wanted to use it in the lead music video for the follow-up album. Although it was only used live at 9 shows, it's been said widely that this was his favorite guitar, and the evidence does support that. This guitar sold via Julien's auctions in 2022 for a groundbreaking $4.68 million. That officially makes it the world's most expensive electric guitar. It was won by Jim Irsay, the principal owner, chairman, and CEO of the Indianapolis Colts. A portion of the proceeds from the auction went to Kicking the Stigma, an initiative started by Irsay in 2020 to raise awareness about mental health and remove the stigma associated with it. This is not the first hugely historic guitar Irsay has bought. It's one of many in what is called the Jim Irsay collection. In 2021, Guitar Magazine wrote that Irsay is the owner of the greatest guitar collection on earth. In his collection, he has guitars that were owned by Elvis, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, Jerry Garcia, Prince, David Gilmour, and Bob Dylan. He also has a Ludwig drum set that was owned and played by Ringo Starr. These are just a few of the pieces in his massive collection. The Irsay collection travels and has put on free displays in cities such as Nashville, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, and Indianapolis, just to name a few. My journey to the Compstang started when I reached out to the Irsay collection and had a couple of phone calls with Larry Hall. Larry is the Vice President of Special Projects and Historical Affairs for the Colts and is the chairman of the Jim Irsay collection. Larry and I quickly connected over our mutual appreciation of the impact of these historic instruments, and we both share a common mission in sharing the history and magic of these artifacts to as many people as possible. Larry generously allowed me to come out to Indianapolis to document one of the most important guitars in rock history. When I landed in Indy, I was immediately greeted by this when I got off the plane. You can only imagine my excitement at being welcomed by Kurt's Mustang right as I got there.
So I'm in Indianapolis right now, on the way to the Jim Irsay collection to go see Kurt's Mustang. And I'm not alone this time. For Skystang, I was alone, but I have an assistant today. We've got Jeff from Loma Guitars here to help us get some footage. And Jeff and I have been talking and working together for a little over 2 years at this point, and this is our first time meeting, and it's to go see the Compstang. So, like, what better occasion? And I'm excited. Let's go.
We met Larry at the Colts Football Center, an absolutely beautiful facility inside and out. I am not a football person, but even I was starstruck and in awe of all the football memorabilia that we saw inside. Larry led us through a maze of hallways in the sports center until he brought us into a room, and bam, there it was. On a stand directly in front of us was the most expensive electric guitar in the world, one of the focal points in the music video of a timeless, generation-defining anthem. Kurt Cobain's Smells Like Teen Spirit 1969 Fender Competition Mustang. A guitar that will forever belong to the echelons of history. But for a brief moment in time, we had the honor of being one-on-one with it. We sadly cannot meet Kurt and thank him for the life-changing art he created. Getting up close to his instruments, the tools in which he loved and created his art with, is the closest we can get. I was so nervous all morning, and especially as I was walking into that room. Getting access to a guitar of this caliber felt almost like the times when I met Chris, Dave, and Pat in person. I was starstruck and trying to play it cool. So many memories flowing through my head, as this was not my first encounter with this guitar. In 2011, my family went on a vacation to Seattle primarily to go to the Museum of Pop Culture. At the time, it was called the Experience Music Project. They had just started their Nirvana exhibit. Walking through it for the first time is something I will never forget. Seeing Kurt's actual Mosrite Gospel, Vandalism Strat, the body of the Endless Nameless Strat, and the In Utero Tour Angel mannequins was unbelievable. But by far, what had the biggest impact on me was seeing Kurt's actual Mustangs, Skystang 1 and the Competition Mustang. I went back to Seattle with my wife in 2019. These were the two guitars I was most excited to say hello to again. Buzzing with excitement, Jeff and I got to work right away. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and we weren't wasting any time. I brought a long checklist of everything I wanted to document. In 2023, 11 magazine published an absolutely brilliant article about Kurt's Compstang. Writer Michael Adams and photographer Eleanor Jane took extensive technical measurements and beautiful photographs. This is the one and only time the Irsay collection wanted this guitar to be measured. So for my visit, I was just going to get as much detailed close-up footage as possible. We will be referring to Michael and Eleanor's findings when it comes to the technical specs of this guitar. When you see this on the screen, that means the measurement that I'm currently telling you about came from their article. The link to purchase the 11 magazine issue that features their article is in the video description. Let's start with the front of the guitar from the bottom up in all its aged glory. This is the bottom Schaller strap lock pin. It's hard not to let your eyes go immediately to the racing stripe, a visual staple of competition Mustangs. There is a chip between the middle and outer stripe, which is visible in January 1993 Rio footage. There are more dings along the body as we make our way up to the bridge. The bridge and tailpiece are set up in a very specific way. When this guitar was being auctioned off, Ernie Bailey told Julian's Auctions,
"While I performed a handful of modifications to this guitar to stabilize the tuning and optimize its playability, this one was a rare example in which the modifications performed were discussed in detail with Kurt and not made irreversible, as we were each aware of not only how rare this guitar was, but also how much he cherished it."
The mods here are straightforward and efficient. The tailpiece appears to have been tightened down as far as the original posts allow. Ernie has said this redirects the string resonance from being absorbed by the tremolo springs and to the body. The strings are strung through the back, which is why we can see the string ends sticking out. This is a less intrusive modification than Kurt's In Utero Mustangs, where Ernie removed the springs and flipped and locked down the tailpiece with washers. The Tune-O-Matic is a staple of Kurt's Mustangs. It's been said that these were his favorite. The Tune-O-Matic here is bottomed out, meaning it can't get any lower. As for the action, at the 12th fret, the low E string reads 0.095 inches with the high E at 0.09 inches. It's strung with 11 to 54 strings that are not original to when Kurt played it, but they are original to the time of the sale. A little chip here as we make our way to the control plate. The control plate itself has plenty of signs of wear. A big highlight, and probably what I was most excited to see going into this, is the damage on the left side of the control plate from when Kurt smashed this guitar into the monitor board in Dallas in 1991. Absolutely mind-blowing to see the circle-shaped indents, which came from violently meeting the pots on that soundboard. He hit the board 4 times, but by the second hit, the neck was snapped out of place. We can only imagine the sheer force and strength Kurt put into those first 2 hits. It left these deep scars. More damage as we continue up the side of the body that we can only assume is from the same Dallas incident. Aside from the show, it's been said that this is the guitar that Kurt babied. As we start to look at the left side of the pickguard, it's fascinating to see slight buckling between the screws. This is all around the pickguard and is due to it shrinking over time. More evidence of that is seen where the pickguard and the control plate used to meet. The screws themselves show signs of rust, and the pickguard itself is very yellowed. Things to be expected on a 55-year-old guitar. Stock single coil neck pickup. Right above it, there is a little divot in the pickguard. Another very exciting thing to see up close, the hot rails. This is presumably an 80s hot rails, as 90s hot rails and beyond all have the Seymour Duncan logo and Kurt's doesn't. I don't have an exact measurement to share, but its height is set pretty high. I definitely had a moment where I was staring at it and thought, my god, these hot rails are on in utero. Top, Schaller strap lock pin, and some missing paint right next to it. On the treble side of the neck pocket, we can see some exposed wood where the finish is missing. On the bass side, Jeff made an exciting observation. This is a sign of the neck repair, most likely wood glue, a small detail that is very easy to miss. Above the right top screw on the neck plate is what we are thinking is maybe epoxy from the heel repair. This is also where we find the serial number, 279651. As we make our way up the neck, we see its round laminated rosewood fingerboard and 22 frets with pearl inlay dots. It's hard not to think of the guitar solo in the music video when we reach the first few frets. Kurt pretending to tap, perhaps poking fun at the shredding metal solos that had ruled the airwaves the previous decade. The fingerboard radius is 7.25 inches, nut width is 1.6 inches, and the scale length is 24 inches. We arrive now at one of the highlights and most beautiful trademarks of this guitar, the matching headstock. There are a handful of cracks that run along parallel to the nut, particularly visible in certain lighting. Left-handed Mustangs of the time only feature Fender on them. Again, another specific trademark of this guitar. This logo was once white, but has aged over time. Patent number directly under it. There are two very noteworthy chips, both of which give us a glimpse of the vibrant blue this guitar used to be before the color started aging. As I got into guitar playing as a teenager, a blue Competition Mustang with matching headstock became a dream guitar that felt almost unattainable due to its forever rising prices and value. My wife, at the time my fiance, had always known how much I wanted one and jumped on an eBay listing for a Competition Mustang that only had two very blurry pictures for $700 and gave it to me as a wedding present. When it arrived, it was extremely exciting, but it was also apparent to us that this was a Mustang that had gone through a very poorly done home paint job. I loved it nonetheless for many years, and it became one of the main guitars I used in my band and was the one that I got the most compliments on at our shows. Just this year, for my 30th birthday, my wife's gift to me was to get it professionally repainted and for it to get modded to Kurt's exact specs. 80s Seymour Duncan hot rails with no logo, 2-pneumatic bridge, and aged pearl pickguard. I got this guitar back literally less than a week before I was going to fly out to Indy to see the real deal. It played and looked like a dream immediately when I opened it, but I swear it feels different now after seeing Kurt's so up close. I'm hoping that I brought home some of the magic from the actual Compstang and it transferred over to mine. There are definitely some exciting things we saw on the back of Kurt's Mustang. But before we start, I'd like to give a big shout out to everyone who has donated to me via buymeacoffee.com. These videos take a long time to research and edit and put together, so the extra caffeine really helps out. I can't thank you guys enough. Let's start from the top and work our way down. As we turn to see the back of the headstock, we can see rust on the back of the vintage tuners. Seeing these and the tuning pegs, again, immediately brings to mind the solo section of the Teen Spirit music video. As we make our way back to the body, we see the slim C-profile maple neck. Now for the body itself, this next part is probably the most exciting thing I saw that I wasn't expecting. This right here appears to be tape residue on the upper horn. Kurt had his strap duct taped to the guitar in the music video and for the shows this guitar was used at in 1991 and 1992. January 93 in Rio is the first time we see it without this tape, as Ernie had recently removed it. The contours are deep and prominent, something we were surprised to see. especially in comparison to modern Mustangs' shallower contours. Belt buckle rash where the wood is exposed and some cracking around it. Other various signs of damage around the back. On the edge of the body here, we see a slight purple burst. Some Lake Placid blue competition Mustangs of this era featured purple burst edges. Fender called this color competition burgundy. When auctioning it off, Julian's actually called it competition Lake Placid blue, which is probably less confusing as the purple edges tend to fade out over time as the guitar begins to age and turn green. Some well-kept comp stangs from the 60s still have a prominent burst that you could argue are more purple than blue, but the burst on Kurt's has faded to be subtle and discreet. You really need to look for it to notice it. Speaking of the color, I brought a NYX color analyzer to get precise readings of the body, the stripe, and the pickguard. As I did to my own, I know a lot of people get their Mustangs repainted to get this specific look. So I'm very excited to present these readings for the color codes of Kurt Cobain's Competition Mustang as of April 2024. Along with the guitar, Larry brought Kurt's original case. Very exciting to see and imagining Kurt walking into both Sound City and Packard Ram Studios holding this case. On it is a piece of tape that says Blue Mustang, which was most likely written by Ernie. And with that, I noticed everything on my checklist was now crossed off. I said to Larry, "This hurts to say as a fan because I could look at this guitar all day, but I have gotten everything that I need." After this came what I will always remember as a life highlight. I had seen this guitar twice before when it was on display behind glass at Mopop in Seattle. Never in a million years did I think I'd ever be able to say I held the world's most expensive electric guitar, holding down the F power chord, the first chord to Smells Like Teen Spirit on the Smells Like Teen Spirit guitar, and a guitar that you could maybe argue is the quintessential Nevermind guitar. It was thrilling, a rush, and honestly, scary as hell all at the same time. I imagine that this is what it must feel like to hold Excalibur. Truly an emotional, full circle moment. I wish I could go back in time and tell 14-year-old Eric, "Hey, you know how you just started learning your first song, Smells Like Teen Spirit? Keep at it, because one day you're gonna hold Kurt's actual Smells Like Teen Spirit guitar." Dreams do come true. The Jim Irsay collection is currently planning to have an exhibit in Indianapolis the week after Labor Day this year in 2024. If you are able to make it, I cannot stress how powerful it is to see this guitar in person, and it's one of many hugely historical guitars that they will have on display. Follow the Jim Irsay collection on all the social medias to stay up to date on their events and to learn more about the greatest guitar collection on earth. I'm back in my hotel room here in Indianapolis, looking through all the footage, all the pictures we got today, and my God, it's just so crazy. I can't believe it. There are a lot of guitars that have been called Kurt Cobain's favorite. Like, there are places that say the Martin D18E was his favorite. A lot of people like to say the Jaguar was his favorite. Recently, people have been saying Skystang 1 was his favorite, and there are places that say the Competition Mustang was his favorite. The thing is, we don't truly know. Like, there's no quote from Kurt that he's like, X guitar is 100% my favorite. So it's something a lot of people debate over about what was his favorite, but I think it does say a lot that he used this guitar for the band's debut music video for the lead single off their major label debut. Like, they knew it was going to be a big deal to make the Teen Spirit video, and that he wanted to use it for the Heart-Shaped Box video too, and that's the video that he would go on to say was his favorite that the band had done, and it's the one that I think he put like the most thought into and the most work into to get his vision out there visually, and he had in mind to use the Comp Stang for that one too. So I think that says a lot. And it's maybe the only guitar that was used on both Nevermind and In Utero I know people are going to bring up the Jaguar, and it's a subject of debate whether or not the Jaguar is on Nevermind. I've seen passionate arguments both ways. People saying like, no, I hear the Jaguar on Nevermind. And I've also seen people saying, no, if you look at the timeline, he probably bought it after recording Nevermind. So we know the Jaguar is on In Utero. It's debatable whether or not it's on Nevermind. But we know the Comp Mustang is on In Utero, and we can comfortably say it's on Nevermind. So just taking all that into account, that it's on In Utero, it's probably on Nevermind. It's in the music video that changed everything and changed the landscape of music, arguably. And it's currently the most expensive electric guitar in the world. Like, this is a special guitar, and I'm just thinking about how like it was right in front of me, and like I held it. And while holding it, I like tried to hold an F chord down left-handed. Oh my God, that's like a life achievement right there. Holding an F chord on the Smells Like Teen Spirit guitar. That's something I'm never gonna forget. I have to give a big thank you to Jeff from Moment Guitars, who came out to assist me, and he helped me get the footage. And he's a very experienced and talented guitar tech. So he saw things I wouldn't have noticed. So I'm so grateful he was there to help get footage and to provide his insight and expertise, because at the end of the day, we're all learning a lot more because Jeff was there with me. So seriously, Jeff, thank you for coming out and for being a part of this. Like, I'm never gonna forget this. A huge, tremendous shout out to the Jim Irsay collection and to Larry Hall. This is your guys' guitar, and you were generous enough to invite me out and to bring it and to let us look at it, get up close to it, all this footage, and to analyze the color and then to hold it. Surreal. It's a dream come true. Like, I'll never be able to look at that music video or this guitar the same way again, because now it's like familiar. Like, it's so weird to say that. Like, I got back to my room here, was backing up all my footage, organizing it, and then like just for fun, like I just saw it, so I pulled up the Teen Spirit video, and it's like it's different now. Like, to see that guitar, it's like I know how that thing feels. Like, I know how it looks up close. I know that it's so seriously, Larry and everyone at the Jim Irsay collection, I will never be able to thank you enough for this experience. I'm truly grateful, and I don't take for granted the trust you put in me in seeing this guitar, and it means so much to me, and seriously, thank you. Nirvana has changed my life in so many ways, and it continues to change my life in a lot of ways, and this is more than I could ever ask for. But the biggest thank you by far has to go to all of you guys. You guys watching and subscribing and sharing my videos and supporting my channel is the reason I've been able to do these crazy things. Like, this is the third Kurt guitar I've seen in a year, and it's an honor of a lifetime to be able to see and to provide these visual records for these historic artifacts. 14-year-old me who started playing guitar because of Nirvana, that kid would never believe the things that have been happening, and it's all because of you guys. So sincerely, I can't thank you enough. The Nirvana gear community is amazing. I'm not trying to get like sappy or like emotional, but like you guys have given me like a real like sense of purpose with the channel to like gather this info and to like present it and to see how happy it makes people feel. Like, it's been so fulfilling. It's been so validating. I'm so happy to be doing this. I sincerely can't thank you all enough. Thanks for being a part of this journey and for coming to see these guitars with me. Like, this is dream come true, truly. Thank you. You can like see the circles. That's like nuts.